Smurfy greetings, YouTubers. It is I3 Hellgear, and this is another Smurfs Epic Run discussion. So first and foremost, I would like to say this. Share your opinions on this discussion in the comments section below. And I don't say this not just to the viewers of Smurfs Epic Run here on the channel, and not just to other players who play Smurfs Epic Run, but also to the developers of the Smurfs Epic Run team. I would like to get all of your opinions on this discussion in the comment section below. So I encourage you to jump in on this discussion. Also, in the link to the description of this video below are the other Smurfs Epic Run discussions. So chime in on those as well. And of course, if you agree with or disagree with anything that I may have to say, again, comment section. I'd like to hear from all of you. So, let's get started. One thing that I have said, and I've said this a lot, is that when it comes to certain abilities, every Smurf, with the exception of Dopey Smurf, aka Clumsy Smurf, has an ability. However, some of these abilities are, as I have noted, low rent, mid rent, or high rent versions of a Smurf with an existing ability. And it makes me feel like, and this is also supported by a lot of facts based on the abilities that other Smurfs have, is that the Smurfs Epic Run development team is kind of running low on the idea tree for Smurfs and abilities to give them. And I've taken a good amount of ragging from viewers as well as people in the Smurfs community. Well, 3 Hellgear, if they're always going to be low rent this, high rent that, why don't you come up with a couple of Smurfs that are new and have interesting abilities, man? Put up or shut up. Well, sure, I've got a nice handful of these Smurfs and some abilities that I want to talk with. So we're going to get into the very question, and it's 3 questions actually. So the questions that I'm going to ask in this are: 1, which new Smurfs, and we're talking legendary Smurfs here, would you add to the game? 2, what abilities would said Smurfs have? And 3, how would you be able to obtain him or her? And I managed to get in some answers from the community as well. So let's get started. First and foremost, I'm going to begin on the left here with a Smurf that I've mentioned multiple times. Sweepy Smurf. Sweepy Smurf or Chimney Sweep Smurf, depending on where your region is. I've mentioned this before when I took previous Smurfs Epic Run surveys and questionnaires. And I believe in another discussion I've mentioned Sweepy Smurf. You know, chimney sweepers have to deal with the icky, gunky, sticky creosote in chimneys. When they clean it out, some of them get black lung. Now, when it comes to Sweepy Smurf's ability, and I still say this to the ends of time, Sweepy Smurf's ability should be immunity to glue. Now, let's hit the slow motion and talk about Smurfs that have abilities that make them immune to things. Officer Smurf has enemy immunity. Smurf Storm has flying enemy immunity. And Smurf Blossom has fire immunity. Now, on the note of Smurf Blossom, before fire was an immunity, we had the Fireball Ring, which let the Smurf wearing it become immune to fire. And likewise, we also have a Glue Ring, which gives the Smurf that wears it immunity to glue. But to this, up until now, or at least when I recorded this here in January 2018, no Smurf has a natural immunity to glue. Also, let's get back on the play button here. We have Fakir Smurf, who is immune to spikes. So, it only makes sense that we have a Smurf with a natural glue immunity. Next up, in the middle, is a community choice Smurf, and that's Gutsy Smurf. And I'll be real with you, I personally have wondered why Gutsy Smurf hasn't been included in the Smurfs Epic Run myself. You know, this is perhaps the #1 community pick of legendary Smurfs to be added to the game. Now, as far as his ability is concerned, well, I think about Gutsy's natural talents. He's strong. And as we learned in the second Smurfs movie, him and Hefty make up Team Smurf Muscle. So I figure, in this nice shot, he's bashing open a rock. So what ability would I give him? And I think about immunities and whatnot. And the one thing that comes to mind is traps. That's not to say give him full trap immunity. No. There should be Smurfs that are able to be trapped. What I'm suggesting for Gutsy is trap resistance. Now, to the new players of the game, here's how it works. When you encounter the little cage traps on the map and your Smurf gets caught in them, you have to tap 5 times to break free. How I would give an explanation to Gutsy's trap immunity is he breaks out faster. You know, and I was thinking, how many hits would it be so it's a little bit balanced? Because, you know, we want balanced gameplay. And 1 is too little, 5 is too many. So I thought, okay, let's meet down the middle. Gutsy can break out of traps with 3 hits. You know, that seems fair. And one of the things the Smurfs Epic Run development team likes to rip on are canonical Smurfs. Well, again, Gutsy appeared along with Vexy and Hackus in The Legend of Smurfy Hollow. Also, Gutsy has artwork in the art book of Smurfs The Lost Village, which I've shown off. I'd show it again, but I'm away from the book right now. Next up on the right is Clockwork Smurf. Now, in the Smurfettes discussion, I mentioned Clockwork Smurfette, and it only makes sense if you have Clockwork Smurfette to have Clockwork Smurf. After all, he is one of 2 Smurfs made by Handy. As far as his ability is concerned, you know, I couldn't place an ability. So, someone from the community who also agreed on Clockwork Smurf being into the game had an interesting suggestion. Since Clockwork Smurf is made out of wood, why don't we make it so that he doesn't have like wood damage? And I go, well, Fakir Smurf is immune to spikes, so how would that work and not be a ripoff of him? And she goes, well, instead of Clockwork Smurf getting a death result, as you know, from contact with spikes, he would get a coin for it. And I thought to myself, now that's interesting. Anytime Clockwork Smurf would take wood damage, like the spikes, or the ones for that danger out where you have to dash through, instead of him taking damage over these spikes and whatnot, he just gets a coin when he bumps into or breaks them. And that's a really interesting ability. Now, where will we find all of these Smurfs? I've said this a couple of times in the Smurfs Epic Run community, is that the next 4 areas of the map, the next 4 inclusions of the map, should have a Smurf available when you complete the collections. And that's where I stand with Clockwork Smurf. You can have one area of the map where you complete all the collection items, you unlock Clockwork Smurf, and then the next one you get Clockwork Smurfette. That's how I would do it. You know, if I was asked by the Smurfs Epic Run development team. Sweepy Smurf, I would probably make him unlock by level. Unlock by level, no big deal. You know, you go across the map, there's a specific stage where you free him from the cage. Gutsy, however, I would probably put into a chest. You know, I don't want to get too far into the grind of chest work, but that's where I would put him. So let's move on. Speaking of Hackus and Vexy. Okay, so we'll start on the left. Again, Hackus and Vexy have been community choice Smurfs to add to the game. You know, after the second Smurfs movie, they were changed from Naughties into Smurfs. And even in Smurfs Village, they are in Smurf form. So, what abilities would you have for them? Now, food for thought, I was thinking about how they were doing like Firefighter Smurf. You know, Firefighter Smurf has an ability where he starts with a boost, and then he's more likely has the odds of finding another boost potion during the run. And I figure, okay, let's play on that. But instead of boost for Hackus, let him start out with invincibility, and he has chances of finding more invincibility potions while he runs. Again, no Smurf has done this. Now, Vexy, on the other hand, I've reached an impasse about that, because I really couldn't figure out what ability to give to Hackus' sister. Now, someone else who also thought Vexy should be in the game had this idea. Double jump and stomp. Now, when I heard that, the first thing that came to mind is, how can I use this in play? You know, I looked at her and she's like, well, we have other Smurfs who benefit from double jump. Like, I think it's Rebel Smurf that has double jump and glide. So, if we have Smurfs who can double jump and glide, why not one that can double jump and stomp? And as interesting as that is, and I'll admit, that is interesting, I'm beginning to, you know, as a player myself, I think about just how I could use this to my advantage. You know, just the stomp, I can work that pretty well. You guys have probably seen me do this well with Cook Smurf. You know, double jumping, multiple jumps, anyone can do well. But double jump and stomp is interesting. I'm not sure why the particular person in the community had that suggestion for her. I think about how I can use that to my advantage. Kind of like that one area where you have to stomp down and there's this wooden bridge, but when you stomp down, it lowers, you can access the 3 big 25-piece coins. That's one of the places that I can think of for doing that one. Now, the 2 girls on the right. To all of you who know this, you already know who the one is on the far right. The other one, you don't know by face, but you know by name. So, we'll start with her. Standing next to Vexy is Smurf Jade. Now, Smurf Jade had only one line in the Lost Village, where she introduces herself. You know, she goes, "Hi, I'm Smurf Jade," introducing herself to Papa and the rest of the gang. So, what ability will we give her? Now, I personally thought of something like the File of Wealth. Now, to those of you who haven't obtained the File of Wealth yet, it's an artifact that turns big coins into gems. And I figure Smurf Jade could turn big coins into sarsaparilla leaves. I know that doesn't sound like much, but again, this is an ability that hasn't been done before. And besides, Jade is green after all. Sarsaparilla leaves are green. And hopefully they're not bitter like sarsaparilla root is. And then, of course, on the right, we have Smurf Melody. Now, as her bio says, Smurf Melody can use her voice, altering the pitches and the tones, and can even use that in combat. And I thought to myself, This sounds like rounding. Yes, all my Pokemon trainers, you know about the move round. It's where you attack with sound, with your sound. And I figure Smurf Melody can do something like that with her voice. Kind of like a dash movement, but instead of the forward burst, it would be sound waves going around her in, what is it? It's a radius attack. And the sound waves can bust obstacles and take out enemies. So you jump up, you tap on her, she do her little ah, and then you have these sound waves go out around her in a surrounding motion. And those sound waves would be her attack, which again busts up obstacles and can kill enemies. Now, to those of you who are new to the game or missed it, in April of last year, the Lost Village was an exclusive chapter added to the game. It was also the month where we started doing annual events to get new Smurfs. And I figure our girls from the Grove would be the perfect candidates for being obtained during the April 2018 event. Sure, you get one, and then you'll have like the Grove Girls collection, kind of like how they did it for Halloween, where you got Vampire Smurf, and then there was Witch Smurfette and Pumpkin Smurf, and all of them had their name in parentheses that said Halloween collection, which you can only get during that time. Similar deal with Melody and Jade. You know, you could have one of them as the big prize for the April hunt, you know, the Smurfs the Lost Village anniversary hunt, and then put the other one out for the Grove collection. Now, as far as Vexy and Hackus are concerned, I'm going to shoot out a completely different idea. Something that the Smurfs Epic Run development team is probably doing. I say probably because they haven't said word on this. And if not, maybe this is a good idea for you guys. What I've been thinking is this. Sometime along the lines of the game, there would be a future update. And with this update comes a new shop. Now in this shop, you could purchase Vexy and Hackus. But instead of paying coins or making an in-app purchase, they would cost a certain number of the red fragments that we pick up during the stages. You guys know about the red fragments if you have your game updated. You find 2 pieces of 1 red fragment in every normal stage. Not the Flying Smurf stages, but every normal stage, whether it's chapters on the map or the exclusive portal worlds excluding Cloud's Plains, because Cloud's Plains is an all Flying Smurf portal world. You know, this gives us a reason to actually collect these, and it gives the red fragments a bit of a purpose, because ever since the update came out where we collected the red fragments, there really hasn't been a purpose for them. It's just, oh, you've collected the red fragments for this stage on the map. So I figure, why not? Open up a shop where you can buy Smurfs for X number of red fragments. Next in line is one that I've kind of put a rag on the Smurfs Epic Run on social media pages for a moment, and that's Cupid Smurf. You know, last year on Valentine's Day, they put up the nice Smurfs Epic Run on their Twitter page, and possibly on their Facebook page. They put up those wonderful little Valentine's messages, and one of my comments was how they have all this Valentine stuff, but Cupid Smurf's not in the game. Now, mind you, we have the month of February coming up. So, you know, Cupid Smurf would be the perfect prize for the February item hunt. You could even make it hearts. Make it the heart hunt. And then, next to him, you have Devil and Angel Smurf. Angel and Devil Smurf. And I'll be real with you, I've said this during my Smurfs Bubble Story play, when they gave us Pirate Smurf and Tailor Smurf during the event, that I would have rather had Devil Smurf instead of Tailor Smurf for that event. But I'll get into their abilities momentarily. Now, when I mentioned this to the community and showed off these three, the first thing came to mind was Glide, giving them gliding abilities. Now, if you gave them Glide, they'd be like rented versions of Flying Smurf, who has medium glide. So, I would stray away from it for Cupid Smurf. And we'll go back to the example for Hackus about invincibility. Well, Cupid Smurf, instead of invincibility or boost like Firefighter Smurf, instead you use the Heart Potion. And this makes sense because the Heart Potion, when it came out, there wasn't really too much going with it. We had Hail Frost that dropped Heart Potions, and then with the Heart Potions releasing, and I notified people in the Smurfs community when I first saw the Heart Potion, that it's a new potion that you can get it. You can improve Heart Potions later on down the line in the levels, but there's really no one else to work the Heart Potions like that. So, Cupid Smurf could start with the Heart Potion. Then, has a chance of coming across other Heart Potions during the run. Something to think about, okay? It's something to think about. You don't want to give him Glide because, again, that makes him a rented Flying Smurf. Well, that doesn't put his wings to use. Yeah, well, they could give him something else besides gliding. You don't need wings to glide. You could use your wings to dash. Maybe dash in Heart Potion precedence. Now, Angel and Devil Smurf, when I asked about how people would get these, it's kind of been a mixed bag. One person said, and this guy said, and I quote, "If it was up to me, I would put Angel and Devil Smurf in the shop. There would be a package deal and it would be for $10. Now, this makes sense because with the recent dropping of the updated tournament, they gave us Maraca Smurf and Umbrella Smurf for their deals. It was just those Smurfs, singles, and a price. No gems that came with it. It's just the Smurfs. You're buying the Smurfs. Now, Devil Smurf, I thought about his, and one of the things that came to mind was Pitfall immunity. And let's be real, Pitfall immunity is just unfair. You can't balance Devil Smurf like that. So I thought of something else. And that something else is this. Twice as many coins for killing enemies. Remember, folks, now in the game, when you kill an enemy, you get 3 coins. Well, when Devil Smurf does it, he gets 6 coins instead of 3. So you can stack more chips, to clear those missions where you have to collect coins. Also, it's a strategic point for the stadium where you have to collect no more than X number of coins. So it makes you think on your toes when you use this guy. Now, Angel Smurf, on the other hand, we can take more of a pacifist route. So this is what I had in mind for Angel Smurf. If you can clear a stage without killing enemies, you just go through the stage, you avoid all the enemies, you leave them alone, right? Once you clear the flag at the end of the stage, you're rewarded the 100 coin piece. Now, that sounds great, but again, there's a catch to that. And the catch is enemies have to spawn on the stage in order for this to work. If you go through a stage and no enemies spawn, and I mean actual enemies, not fireballs, but actual enemies. If actual enemies don't show up on the map, Angel Smurf doesn't get this bonus, this bonus for his pacifism. Is that a word? Is pacifism a word? Let's reword that. You don't get the 100 coin piece for his pacifist run in a stage. Enemies have to show up in order for him to have the pacifist coin bonus at the end. Also, if you want, give him something else. You know, some people are like glide, but you don't want to do the glide thing again. That makes him a modified flying Smurf. You know, double jump maybe. Actually, that's a good idea. Double jump and clearing stages with enemies without killing one gets you 100 coins at the end of the stage. That's really good. Again, if it were up to me, that shop idea that the one guy had, good. But if it were up to me, I'm going to go back to that red fragment shop, place them in there for X number of red fragments. So there you go, folks. With the help of the community, I've managed to give players and hopefully members of the Smurfs Epic Run development team 10 ideas on new Smurfs to add to the game with some new abilities. Again, if you guys agree with or disagree with what I've said, let me know in the comment section below. Also, and I extend this olive branch to everyone watching. If there's a specific Smurf that I didn't mention in this discussion that you think should be added to the game, which Smurf would that be? 1. 2. What abilities would the Smurf have? And 3. How would you obtain him or her in the game? Let me know in the comment section below. Not just viewers and fellow players, but also members of the Smurfs Epic Run development team. This is a joint venture. I hope you guys have enjoyed this discussion. If you did, show your love, hit the like button. And of course, share this discussion amongst your fellow Smurfs Epic Run communities. There will be more Smurfs Epic Run discussions on the way, so be sure to check these out. Check out some of the Smurfs Epic Run discussions that I've said, again, in the description below. In case you missed any, chime in on those as well. But for now, I take my goose from the oven because I'm done. I'll be waiting to hear your responses in the comments section below. Bye-bye.